The brand new Alone Challenge begins in 2025. 10 survival experts have arrived in the scorching Karoo Desert. They must not only face the harsh environment, but also remain vigilant against wild animal attacks. While overcoming emotions like loneliness and fear, the difficulty of survival will far exceed previous seasons. Each contestant can only choose 10 pieces of gear. Whoever lasts till the end will win the $500,000 prize. Without further ado, let's get straight to the action. The first contestant is named Will, from the state of Texas, USA. He is an animal breeder, specializing in raising endangered species from abroad. Before selling them back to their native habitats, his daily work has honed his skills. Not only is he an excellent hunter, but he's also highly proficient in various survival techniques. He joined this competition to win the prize money and provide a better life for his family. The first thing he does upon arrival is survey the nearby area and secure a water source. After all, the weather here is extremely hot. He isn't sure about the water quality of the lake in front of him. To be safe, he wraps a cloth around an iron pot to filter out impurities. After filling the pot with water, he doesn't drink it directly, but waits to boil it first. This minimizes the risk of bacterial infection. Sometimes, the smallest details determine success or failure. The arid Karoo Desert consists of vast plains, low shrubs, and towering rock formations, with an average temperature of 40 degrees Celsius, so staying hydrated is key to survival here. The second contestant is a young woman, named Kelsey, from Montana, USA. She and her boyfriend of 7 years live in the countryside far from the city. There's no electricity or running water. Everything is primitive. They hunt for food, while also running a farm, raising wild horses and donkeys. If she can win the $500,000, she can expand the farm and save more wild animals. She is currently scouting the nearby terrain. Baboon footprints are everywhere on the ground, which makes her frown, because baboons are aggressive animals, full of hostility. Suddenly, a terrifying screech echoes from afar. Kelsey looks up and spots several baboons standing on a hill opposite her. They've already noticed her. To avoid escalating the conflict, she chooses to leave quickly, but her retreat doesn't bring good luck. A baboon starts following her. It's actually tracking Kelsey. At this moment, Kelsey realizes she must show a strong stance.
This is my spot! Get! Get!
So she roars loudly to signal to the baboons that she's not to be messed with, and the method works. The baboon turns and leaves. Kelsey safely returns to her landing spot, ready to build a temporary shelter. The third contestant is named Pablo. Though already 55 years old, he's muscular and looks remarkably young. Born in Cuba, he now resides in Florida. Growing up in poverty, he had to hunt or fish for food, which instead sharpened his survival skills. For this competition, he quit his job to fully focus on winning the $500,000, enough to change his family's living conditions. Now, feeling the intense heat, he prepares to collect fresh water, but he dares not drink from the lake, as it's filled with animal feces. He fears falling ill from it. So on the shore, he digs a pit, an ancient method called a coyote well. Water gradually seeps into the hole, providing drinkable fresh water. The fourth contestant is named Jit, from New Zealand. Looking at the beautiful scenery, his mood is wonderful. He even spots cacti on the ground, which make for a tasty snack. But his good mood vanishes the moment he looks up, because several baboons stand atop the hill, and they're the last thing contestants want to encounter. Jit turns and leaves immediately, hoping he hasn't caught their attention. Jit is an outdoor instructor. In his younger years, he traveled the world, learning various survival skills. He joined this competition mainly to challenge himself, while the prize money could help him buy land and become a farmer. Now, he prepares to fish. He catches a praying mantis as bait and starts fishing. But things don't go smoothly. Due to the rocky riverbed, his hook gets stuck, and since contestants can only carry 25 hooks, each one is precious. Jit has no choice but to take off his pants and wade into the unknown lake. To retrieve the hook, fishing isn't ideal today, so he boils some water and roasts the cactus. carefully removing the spines. Before chewing on it, the taste isn't bad. The fifth contestant is also a woman. Her name is Katie, aged 45. From a coastal city in Australia, she runs a school of natural philosophy, teaching students various survival skills. Not only is she skilled in hunting and fishing, but she also knows all kinds of plants. By joining this competition, she hopes to buy a house with the prize money, so she won't have to rent anymore. Now she's picking wild berries, when suddenly, she spots warthogs in the distance. Katie gets excited instantly. If she can hunt one, her food problem would be solved. So she grabs her bow and approaches cautiously. But warthogs are highly alert and extremely agile. Before Katie can get close, they vanish without a trace. Looking at the leftover tracks, Katie sighs in regret. The scene shifts to Will. He howls at the baboons on the hill, a way to assert dominance. He can't let them think he's weak, or the consequences would be severe. As an animal breeder, he understands this deeply. Armed with his bow, Will patrols the area, soon spotting 2 buffalo, but he doesn't act recklessly. They're vicious and aggressive, often ambushing hunting parties. At the same time, he notices a gemsbok nearby, but the moment he considers moving, the antelope spots him and bolts away. Will sighs in disappointment. Though he missed out on hundreds of pounds of meat, the abundance of wildlife here is some consolation. The scene shifts to Pablo. He checks the coyote well he dug yesterday, but due to rising water levels, the well is flooded. Pablo is stunned. All his effort yesterday was wasted. Now he's desperately thirsty. Though worried about water quality, he has no choice. He filters some lake water, then builds a fire to boil it, hoping the double purification makes it safe enough to drink. The scene shifts to Kelsey. She didn't sleep well last night. After waking up, she does some push-ups to energize herself. Her weapon is a 50-pound drawbow, only suitable for medium-sized prey. Bow in hand, Kelsey heads uphill. Before long, she spots her first potential prey, but it's a large animal, requiring at least a 60-pound bow, so Kelsey can only watch it leave. Just then, she hears animal noises nearby. She listens carefully, scanning her surroundings. It's a warthog. Warthogs have sharp tusks, capable of piercing human skin easily, so hunting one is a risky endeavor. Following the warthog, Kelsey is tense, seizing the right moment. She draws her bowstring. The arrow flies swiftly, followed by the warthog's screech. The adrenaline rush makes her legs tremble. She steadies herself, then approaches slowly. Once close enough, she fires another arrow. The warthog finally collapses, stopping all movement. Kelsey secures the season's first kill. Even now, her heart still pounds wildly. Due to the scorching heat, the meat would spoil quickly, so she had to drag the warthog back to camp as soon as possible. But the distance was half a mile. For a woman, carrying a warthog was no easy task. After multiple attempts, she couldn't lift it properly, so she changed tactics, choosing to butcher the warthog on the spot. She removed the entrails, chopped off the limbs, and stuffed them into her backpack. Then, hoisting the carcass onto her shoulders, she began the trek back. By the time she reached camp, she was panting heavily, but the work had only just begun. She needed to build a tripod to smoke the meat. Otherwise, in this heat, the pork wouldn't last. She set down the straps, placing the meat on rocks near the fire. This would be tonight's dinner. Next, she sliced the pork into strips and hung them on the tripod, letting them slowly smoke. After hours of labor, she was starving. The pork was now roasted, and she eagerly took a bite. The taste was odd, sour and fishy. Then it hit her. She'd forgotten to add salt. Sprinkled with salt, the pork tasted much better. She couldn't help but give a thumbs up. Lying on her mat, she felt a surge of pride. Only the second day, and she already had food. The future looked bright. By the third day, Jit lay in his shelter, gnawed by hunger. His body was too thin. Without food, he wouldn't last much longer. After psyching himself up, he headed out to fish. First, he searched the shore for bait, small crabs or shrimp. But disaster struck. He thought he needed to pass gas, But instead, diarrhea hit. This was deadly. Had the lake water been contaminated? Or was it the cactus he ate? Either way, Jit was in serious trouble. By evening, he was vomiting violently. The symptoms of dehydration worsened. At midnight, his whole body ached, making sleep impossible. When dawn finally came, his condition had deteriorated further. Unable to continue, he reluctantly made the call, becoming the first contestant eliminated. The brutal heat had added another layer of difficulty to the challenge. The sixth contestant was named Baha, from Canada. The moment he landed, he whooped with excitement. Born in the former Soviet Union, he had served in the military, mastering survival skills. When the USSR collapsed, the turmoil forced his family to relocate to Canada. Now, his only income was as a part-time railroad worker. He joined the competition because the $500,000 could clear his debts and improve his family's life. This was Baha's first time in Africa. To quickly adapt, he built a sundial, a device that uses the sun's shadow to track time and direction. After studying it, he realized something grim. His location was blocked by a mountain to the east, meaning longer, colder mornings. 2 kilometers ahead stood a tall peak. He believed it was an ideal spot, with more sunlight, so he decided to relocate there. The 7th contestant, Nathan, was catching grasshoppers to use as fishing bait. His strategy was clear: fill his stomach first, then worry about shelter. Fishing was the easiest way to get food. Nathan hailed from Idaho, USA, a descendant of survival royalty. His father was a renowned expert who authored best-selling books. Growing up under his influence, Nathan had honed his skills early. His brother, Luck, had competed in Season 10, but failed to win. Now, it was Nathan's turn to redeem his family's name. Now he lowers the fishing line into the water and begins gathering dry grass. The nights here are bitterly cold. He has no intention of sleeping directly on the ground. Behind a thicket of bushes, he finds a small clearing, a natural shelter. Nathan spreads the dry grass across the ground, preparing to make this his home. Then, he'll focus all his energy on securing food. Gazing at the clear blue sky, his mood lifts. After resting, he checks the fishing line and finds a catch, a small yellow fish. Nathan's strategy is paying off. Meanwhile, Baha struggles through his journey. The scorching heat wears him down. He spots buffalo dung on the ground and scans the area cautiously. No sign of the animals themselves. African buffalo are notoriously aggressive killers, responsible for around 200 human deaths annually. After overcoming numerous obstacles, Baha finally reaches his destination. The ground here is littered with firewood, stones, and clay, perfect for survival. He exhales in relief. Now, thirst gnaws at him, but the river water isn't safe to drink raw, so he needs to build a fire. When selecting his 10 items, he didn't choose a fire starter. He was confident in his skills. Quickly, he carves a bow drill setup, but while tying the cord, he notices a problem. Back when choosing rope, he prioritized versatility and opted for thin cord over thick. Now, he worries it might snap during friction fire. With nervous hands, he begins sawing the drill. Perhaps his anxiety affects his technique. He tries for a long time, but fails to produce a single spark. His morale crumbles as the sun dips below the horizon. Exhausted in body and spirit, Baha has no choice but to sleep like this. The 8th contestant, Colton, forgot to film during the day. Just now, his fishing line snagged a big catch. Only then did he remember to turn on the camera. It's a South African sharp-toothed catfish, weighing nearly 11 pounds, enough to last him days. He slices the fish into strips and hangs them on branches to air dry, preventing spoilage. Colton hails from Montana, USA, a rugged land of mountains and skilled hunters. A carpenter by trade, he's also a lifelong hunter, supporting himself through both professions. He shot his first squirrel at age 3. Now, the number of animals he's killed is uncountable. His weapon of choice? The bow. From grizzly bears to elk have fallen to his arrows. He has a girlfriend of 9 years. He joined this competition to fund their wedding. The prize money would make it possible. The next morning, He wakes in his hammock and sets out to scout the area, searching for wildlife. That could become his next meal. A cold, predatory intensity radiates from his eyes, enough to send chills through the screen. This man is ruthless. His test comes quickly. 2 female bushbucks stand 60 yards ahead. But before he can act, they vanish. The animals here are hyper-alert. Meanwhile, Nathan grabs his bow for a hunt. He tests the wind direction with sand. It's blowing downhill, so he moves against it to mask his scent. Yesterday's yellowfish is long gone. His father once taught him, the best way to store food is in your stomach. Nathan lives by those words. Soon, he finds animal signs. A massive pile of white rhino dung. White rhinos are the largest of their kind, weighing up to 6,000 pounds. Lost in thought, Nathan freezes. A gems box stands diagonally ahead. Renowned for their speed, these antelope are nearly impossible to hunt. Nathan doesn't dare move. Then, sudden rustling spooks the gemsbok. Nathan whips his head toward the noise. A sprinting wildebeest. With the hunting opportunity lost, Nathan presses on. Soon, he spots a red hartebeest. But the midday heat is extreme. If he kills large game now, the meat will spoil quickly. So Nathan decides to let it go. The scene shifts to Baja, who has found some dry antelope dung to use for starting a fire. This is a completely new attempt for him. But because the wood isn't hard enough, he still can't produce a single spark. His unusual behavior has caught the attention of a monkey. The animal has been watching him from a tree for quite some time. Right now, Baja is both thirsty and exhausted. If he can't start a fire soon, he'll have no choice but to quit the competition. Unwilling to give up, he decides to try a different fireboard. But making fire by friction is no easy task. He fails again and again. Only after switching to a second fireboard does he finally succeed in creating an ember. From there, things get easier. He carefully transfers the ember to his tinder bundle, nurturing it with gentle breaths, until, at last, flames appear. At this moment, he feels like crying. It was so difficult. If given another chance to choose his items, he would definitely pick a fire starter without hesitation. Now that he has fire, he can finally boil water. Once the water cools, he gulps it down eagerly. It feels like a rebirth. He lets out a satisfied burp. Next, we meet the 9th contestant. His name is Doug. He did choose a fire starter, so he easily enjoys hot water, and has already set up a simple shelter. Just then, he hears movement from the mountaintop. Looking up, he spots what appears to be a zebra. Unfortunately, zebras aren't on the menu for this competition. Still, its presence reminds him that it's time to search for food. Doug is from the United States and works as a web designer, but he has always yearned for wilderness living. In his free time, he rigorously trained his skills. His hunting and survival abilities rival those of professionals. He joined this competition to prove exactly that. After some searching, he doesn't find any game, but he does stumble upon a small stream. This is fantastic news, because water means life. As he approaches, he spots a crab. Though small, it's still a valuable source of protein. Doug isn't about to let it escape. He spears the crab with an arrow, securing his first protein source here. But that's not all. Soon after, he catches an even smaller crab. Now, it's time to cook. He drops the crabs into his pot, adding some wild greens for balance. Before long, the meal is ready. He picks up his chopsticks and digs in. He carved these chopsticks himself yesterday. They work perfectly. By the 3rd day, Baja heads out to search for food. With his water problem solved, he now needs to fill his stomach. Unfortunately, after scouting the area, he comes up empty-handed. While he still has energy, he decides to focus on building a proper shelter. He cuts down 3 logs, arranging them into a triangular frame, then drapes a tarp over it. A simple but functional shelter is complete. The scene shifts to Colton. A troop of baboons barks at him aggressively. He must have wandered into their territory, and they're making it clear he isn't welcome. But Colton, confident in his skills, isn't the least bit intimidated. After all, baboons are on the approved hunting list. If they provoke him, he won't hesitate to fight back. On his very first day here, Colton caught a catfish, enough to sustain him for days. But his hunter's instinct burns strong. He wants more game. Though the area teems with wildlife, the animals are extremely wary, giving him no chance to get close. Slightly fatigued, Colton decides to return and eat his fish. He prepares a pot of fish head soup. While it simmers, he carves a wooden spoon. He takes a sip and immediately spits it out. Disgusting. The slimy texture comes from congealed fish fat, making him nauseous. Without hesitation, he dumps the entire pot. Maybe when he's truly starving, he'll force himself to eat fish heads. But not today. Now, let's meet the final contestant. A white-bearded man named Douglas, 57 years old, from the United States. He's a survival instructor. During his college years, he took a Native American Studies course that sparked his deep fascination with wilderness, completely altering his life's trajectory. He joined this competition not just to fulfill a dream, but also to win the prize money for early retirement. Currently, he's building a shelter because the days here are scorching hot, while nights get bitterly cold. A proper shelter would prevent illness and protect him from wild animals. After working for a while, he feels exhausted and lies down to rest. But soon he's startled awake by a low growling sound. Curiosity drives him to investigate, but the source has already disappeared. As night falls, Douglas can't sleep at all. The constant animal noises around him keep him on edge. When morning finally comes, he grabs his bow to fetch fresh water. While scouting for animal activity, the water source area is covered with animal tracks. After collecting water, he returns to camp. The scene shifts to Colton, who had been sleeping soundly, until his hammock rope suddenly snapped, sending him crashing to the ground. Clearly, the hammock isn't a long-term solution. Today, he'll build a proper shelter, but the area has few proper trees, just low shrubs everywhere. Finding sturdy, thick logs proves difficult. After working for a while, he starts feeling unwell. Perhaps the fish head soup slime has upset his stomach. Waves of nausea hit him. Looking at his dried fish meat, he has zero appetite. The physical discomfort severely affects his morale. He can't muster any excitement, even beginning to question his decision to come here, wondering if it was a mistake. After much deliberation, he calls the production team to officially withdraw from the competition. What a pity. This contestant had top-tier hunting skills, but lacked mental toughness. Meanwhile, Will catches a scorpion. Feeling playful, he decides to put on a show for viewers. The production team provided UV lights to help spot inconspicuous creatures like scorpions. Will turns off his regular light and switches on the UV. The scorpion glows beautifully. After playing with it, he cuts the scorpion in half to use as fishing bait. Nighttime is when catfish are most active. After 3 hours of waiting, with no bites, Will grows deeply discouraged. Just as he's about to pack up, he finally gets a catch. After 3 full days, Will secures his first proper meal here. He treasures it immensely, cleaning the fish quickly by the lake. Truthfully, he dislikes all seafood, but survival demands he choke it down. When the catfish is cooked, he tears off a piece to taste. Maybe it's the hunger talking, but Will actually enjoys the flavor. He puzzles over why. He never ate fish before. The camera moves to Kelsey, currently the only contestant who's successfully hunted game. While she's not worried about food now, the extreme heat keeps her constantly drinking water. Today, she plans to build a water storage system. While moving rocks, she spots a frog by chance. Fortunately for the frog, it encountered Kelsey. Other starving contestants would have either eaten it or used it as bait. Soon, Kelsey constructs a stone water containment area, laying a waterproof tarp over it and pouring in pre-boiled, cooled water. To keep debris out, she folds the tarp edges and weighs them down with rocks. After hours of work, she feels hungry and snacks on dried pork by the pond, enjoying both the scenery and her meal. But a sudden commotion ruins her peaceful moment. Looking up, she spots a wild duck. Kelsey cheerfully waves hello. The camera shifts to Douglas. He's very satisfied with his shelter, but he spent too much time boiling water, so much that he hasn't had time to hunt or fish. Now he realizes this problem and decides to make a water storage container. After some searching, he finds a dead agave plant. Its root can be hollowed out into a container. He carries it back to camp and heats it over the fire. This is a technique he learned from Native Americans. Agave is native to the Americas and wasn't introduced to Africa until colonial times. When the timing is right, he takes out the agave root and begins shaping it, not just refining the exterior, but also hollowing out the interior. Soon, a container to his liking is complete. The scene returns to Will. He picks up a rock and hurls it. There's a bird in the tree, but he misses. Yesterday, Will caught a fish. After eating it, he felt good, but to last long term, he needs to hunt larger game. While he still has some energy left, he grabs his bow and searches for prey, but he finds nothing. The scorching sun makes him miserable, and his mind starts to wander. Images of his family keep flashing in his head. A dangerous sign. That often means a contestant is about to quit. Just then, an animal appears ahead, snapping him out of his thoughts. Will instantly shifts into hunter mode. Bow in hand, he crouches and approaches slowly, but the antelope dashes away before he can get close. Deeply frustrated, Will trudges back to camp. This hunting trip yielded nothing and drained much of his energy. Now he's hungry again. The camera moves to Kelsey. She stumbles upon antelope remains and collects their horns. They might come in handy later. Now she plans to build a shelter. The design is simple. First, she sets up 2 tripods, then uses an earthen slope for support. After placing 2 crossbeams, she drapes a waterproof tarp over them. She figures this should block wind and rain just fine. However, this is a dry riverbed. If heavy rain comes, there could be risks. But she doesn't notice this, too pleased with her shelter. Next, she gathers dry grass to spread on the ground as bedding. As evening falls, swifts fill the sky. Hearing their cheerful chirps, Kelsey's mood lifts. The camera shifts to Pablo. He crafts a bright-colored fishing lure from wood and string and tries his luck at the lake. But after hours of waiting, not a single bite. Coupled with the blazing sun, he's utterly exhausted. Pablo has no choice but to rest and boil some water to drink. After a while, he thinks the water is ready, but as he lifts the lid, his hand brushes the hot pot, nearly spilling everything. Thankfully, his quick reflexes save half the water. The scorching South African desert is taking its toll. He drinks constantly, yet now he wants to build a permanent shelter. But just digging a single pit leaves him gasping for breath. Working in this heat drains stamina twice as fast. Feeling unwell, he retreats to the shade to rest. Despite drinking plenty, his throat feels parched, his lips are chapped, and his body has no strength left. Pablo realizes, if he doesn't make changes soon, quitting is inevitable. After intense deliberation, he finally listens to his instincts and calls the production team to officially withdraw. It's not that he lacks skill. This brutal climate causes rapid dehydration, and Pablo is a prime victim. Every day, he's either drinking water or boiling more, with no energy left for anything else. His superb hunting skills never got a chance to shine. Before this disappointing exit, a bitter pill to swallow. But this is the harsh reality. Environment is a critical factor in survival. Only those who overcome every challenge will last until the end. With just 5 days past, 3 contestants have already dropped out. It's clear that extreme heat is the most unforgiving obstacle of all. The camera shifts to Will. Desperate for food, he turns to a cactus. After burning off the spines with fire, he extracts the flesh and boils it in his pot. Next, he gathers some acacia seeds and adds them to the pot as well. After some time, his desert-style meal is ready. He takes his first bite. The flavor is slightly spicy, but surprisingly delicious, far exceeding his expectations. He devours the entire pot's contents. But by midnight, he's tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Soon he's vomiting violently, with streaks of blood visible. Clearly, the cactus has damaged his stomach. Will doesn't know what to do. Though reason tells him to seek medical help immediately, he refuses to quit so easily, hoping a night's rest will bring improvement. The red emergency button, issued to every contestant by production, is for critical situations. Once pressed, Medical teams must respond immediately. When the medics arrive on shore, they shout loudly, trying to locate the contestant. But Will can only gasp for breath, unable to respond. Fortunately, the team finds him. They quickly attach monitoring equipment and administer emergency medication. Will begins delirious rambling, mumbling repeated apologies. As his condition stabilizes slightly, the doctor asks what he ate today. Will describes his improvised meal and current symptoms: chills, body aches, headache, and persistent nausea. The doctor determines his condition is critical and requires immediate hospital transfer. Will, a mentally tough competitor who could have been a championship contender, has his journey cut short by illness. Subsequent diagnosis confirms acute gastroenteritis caused by toxic substance ingestion. This season proves brutally difficult. Contestants drop out one after another. The final outcome may be decided sooner than expected.